What up, Juggalos? Today, I'm going to review Twiztid's new album, Unlikely Prescription. Oh yeah. So most of you know this is a rock album by Twiztid. Most of their albums have rock songs or rock moments on them, but this is their first front to back rock album. So I feel like I want to review this album in sections. So first I'll say what I think the majority of Twiztid fans will think of this, and then I want to talk about what I was personally hoping for and why I was let down a little bit. But then I want to say why I think this album is good. And then I want to say a few nitpicks. So for fans of Twiztid who have liked their rock songs, especially their newer rock songs on Generation Nightmare and Continuous Evolution, if you generally liked those songs, you'll like this album. And if you loved those songs, you'll love this album, probably. It has the very same clean production as all their rock songs post the darkness. There's aggression, there's screaming, melodies, guitars, and everything sounds very clean and quantized. So my thoughts, or rather what I was hoping for and why I was let down a little bit. I guess I hold Twiztid to a really high standard because they have in their past proven that they can be surprising and they can be unique. Surprising, one example, in the early 2000s they came out with 3 albums in a row that were very mediocre. Would anyone disagree with that? It really seemed like they were running low on gas. 3 albums in a row, and then boom, Wicked. What? This huge album comes out of nowhere, arguably their magnum opus, and it had this this sound and this structure that we had never heard from them before or anyone else. It was them going yeah, there's a subgenre of wicked shit and horrorcore, and we're about to own it, make it big, put a spin on it, and make an album that only Twiztid could make. So my biggest problem with this is that there just isn't enough of a spin, or it doesn't feel like this is adding anything new or different to the pretty overstuffed hard rock / nu metal genre. And I'm not saying that I expected them to invent a new subgenre of rock and roll, but what I did want was for them to do rock and roll that only they could do, a rock record that only Twiztid could make. And instead, it just it feels like they're going through the motions of their favorite nu metal artists. It never feels different enough. And I wanted it to sound different because I think they're creative enough to do that. So while I do think this album is good, it does feel like it's borrowing from a very familiar, very passed around, very used recipe. So part 3, why I think this album is good though. So setting aside the familiar style of this album is good. If the goal of this album wasn't to break any mold, but just make some catchy rock songs, mission fucking accomplished. The music is catchy, the lyrics are emotional at times, but it never gets cheesy, although it gets a little on the nose on the bridge of Dead Instead. Wanna be social, kinda happy. Almost gets cheesy there, but I think it's fine. So for an album that's trying to blend in stylistically with the nu metal of today and be an album that is of today, I think it does it really well. I just wish that it was trying to be more than that. Okay, and then I got section 4, wherever the fuck this is, nitpicks. Neon Vamp, what the fuck? This song is such a bummer because it starts off so awesome and the verses are so good, but I always get bored by the middle of the song because the chorus, I don't want to say it sucks. The chorus, it sucks. Or rather the chorus, it sounds like a verse. It doesn't elevate the song at all. If the chorus had anything that actually elevated the energy of the verses, or had some singing or some sort of melody, or anything that just stuck out to prevent the song from feeling so monotonous, I think it would be a great song. It just sucks because this song was so close to being a great song. So that's number 1. Number 2, Dead Instead. Oh, Dead Instead. This is a really small thing, but really weird. In the very first verse of Dead Instead, when the guitar comes in, what the hell? What happened with the mixing? It goes from the vocals are here, then the guitar comes in. It's the the vocals just go, just like are completely just buried with this chunky digital guitar. Okay, third thing, rose pedal, and this is like a production complaint that leads to my fourth nitpick, which is like an overall nitpick, which is maybe not even a nitpick, it's kind of a problem. So the drums, especially on rose pedal, they sound so MIDI, so fake. The velocity of the drum hits don't sound varied at all, and there's just like a really lame reverb on the snare. And then one overall negative thing, the last thing, like pretty much all their rock songs from recent years, the guitar tone sounds very digital and thin at times, like not as much crunch as I'd like. The only song where it has some sort of punch is Envy, in my opinion. And the drums, like I said with Rose Petal, although Rose Petal is like such an outlier, like it's so much worse than the rest of the album. But the drums generally, while I'm sure they are played by Draven, they sound very MIDI. And honestly, like I can't just say like this is a Twiztid thing. Like this is this complaint like can be made for so much new rock and roll, unfortunately. I've always preferred organic drums, but I realize the convenience of MIDI drums. So that's it, that's about it. Overall, I wanted something new for this genre. Maybe I was expecting too much, maybe that, you know, that wasn't their goal, but it's what I was hoping for. Even with all that said, melodically, there's a lot of catchy stuff on here. And to me, that's enough to make this album good. John Too Dope, out.